This is Ray Mofield again with the Oral History Microphone, and today we're visiting Vera Higgins, who lives at 304 West 7th Street here in Benton, Kentucky. And it's a real pleasure to visit, and thank you for letting us come.
Well, I'm glad you did, Ray. I enjoy being on the TV, on the radio, I suppose. I like to hear myself sometimes.
That's great. I'm glad you admit it. So many people say, oh, I can't do that, or I wouldn't want to do that. But I think there's a little ham in many of us if we would just let it out. And we're going to try to get you to tell us a little about yourself today and your relatives, so we can get a line on the genealogy for those people that follow that. And so many of them go to the library and check these tapes out for years to come and find out who was what, when, where, and the grandparents and the grandchildren and so forth. So we'll start off and ask you where you were born.
I was born in Marshall County, out 408, about 6 or 8 miles out in that area.
Highway.
And what they call Tubbs Road, up in that area there.
Yeah. And your father's name was?
Cletus Thompson.
Cletus Thompson. And your mother was?
My mother was Mary Henson Thompson.
All right, so we had a Henson family and we had a Thompson family. Do you happen to remember any of your grandparents?
My grandparents I knew well. They were older. I was older when they died. And some of my great-grandparents I never knew, but one great-grandmother, I knew her very well. But my daddy's mother and father was John and Coanthe Thompson, Washburn Thompson. My grandmother Thompson was a Washburn. And my mother's parents was Tom and Mary Mathis Henson. They lived in the Aurora area.
All right. Well, that gets you pretty well situated there. And being born in that part of the county, what would have been the nearest public school?
I don't know. My parents moved on over. It's 68 now, down about halfway between the Fair Dealing and Brownsburg, and what we went to then was what was called Davis Chapel School.
Davis Chapel?
Davis Chapel.
Now, I don't know if I've ever heard of that before or not.
That's down in that area there, in where Ethel Ross and Kurt Knowles and down in that area. My daddy worked as a farmer, co-farmer with Ed Lamb, and that's where I went to school all my life. All my schooling was there.
Do you remember any of the teachers that you might have
I
had?
was thinking about that today. Harry Peters.
Harry Peters?
Harry
Well, now,
Peters.
didn't he become county
He
superintendent?
became county superintendent, I think about the second year after I had him about twice, and then he became superintendent. But he would come back and visit with us now and then. And then I had a teacher that was named Edith Peters, and I had one named Edith Downing, and one that was named Pansy Henderson. She was from somewhere around the Hardin area, I think. And
that name sounds familiar to
Yeah.
me. Maybe since I've been mixed up in the Hardin Alumni Association, I think she went to Hardin.
Probably so. Well, she's from that area. At the time she was teaching school, she, wasn't married, and she would stay down here through the week and then go home on the weekend. Of course,
Now, that was common back
Oh,
then,
yeah,
wasn't it? The teacher was
because
bored in the
you
neighborhood.
didn't get around like you do today. Their parents would bring her down on Sunday afternoon or Monday morning and then come get her Friday.
The roads were not real good. and
No.
You couldn't depend on just sailing along on the
That's right. Not
blacktop
like
because
you
there
do
wasn't
today.
any
There wasn't any
blacktop.
there. Nothing but old red gravel.
We thought we were lucky to have that.
That's right.
I can remember some of the years when we lived southeast of Murray that they didn't even have red gravel. We
I
wished
know,
we had.
did have,
Some
that's
of it
right.
was just mud.
Well, I always considered myself lucky. We had to walk to school, but at least I did get to go to school and got a a good 8th grade education.
Oh, that's fine. And
It's,
back then they really did teach reading,
you got
writing,
it.
and
That's
arithmetic,
right. That's
and
right.
so on, didn't
That's right.
they? And I believe there were better spellers than our generation.
Well, I spell with some of the graduates today. Spell where they can't. So
Yeah.
we got into that here a while back.
Oh,
Said-
that's fine.
Had to look it up in the dictionary to be sure I was right.
Yeah.
But I was.
Well, that's wonderful. What did you like? Was that your favorite subject?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like spelling, and, well, I liked it all. I just liked school. Wished I could have went ahead, but as I said, my daddy was a farmer, and a poor farmer at that. It was all he could do with 6 kids at the time. Later had 3 more. There's 9 of us all told, and it was all he could do to make a living for us, much less send me to high school. And that's what I wanted to do, but I couldn't. I wanted to go to school where I could be a nurse. That's what I wanted to do.
And that
So
wasn't
then-
as common then to go to high
No,
school as
it
it is.
is today. No, that's right.
All
I
right.
just always thank God that, I had them and they done as well by me as they did.
So there were a total of 9
9
children.
children.
How many of those are still living?
8.
Well, that's almost a
still
record
living.
in,
That's
in
right.
itself,
That's
isn't
right.
it? Do any of them live in this area?
Yeah, oh, yes, I have a sister lives here in Benton, Murray Kelly, and I've got one lives out in Draytonville, Ura Turner. Got one in Detroit and one in Paducah. And then I've got a brother in Tennessee, and one's been out here in a rest home, but he's in Louisville right now in a rest home, and one lives out at what they call Jonathan Creek. They're all right here in the area, except the one sister lives in Michigan.
Well, that gives you some company.
That's right. That's right.
And all right, you graduated from grade school, and you were living with your parents. They were on a farm. Did you have to work any?
Oh, yes. I went home from school many a day at the last recess to worm, sucker, tobacco the rest of the evening.
Oh, we know what that is.
I know.
Yeah. Now, my wife was just afraid of those big worms.
Oh, my daddy learned me how to grab them by the head and just throw them on the ground, so I didn't have any problem with
Pop their
them.
heads right off.
That's right. I hated having to stoop over and pull off them old suckers way down towards the ground more than anything
I tell
else.
you, that your back got to hurting.
Oh, I know it did.
In fact, I don't remember anything that was real pleasant about tobacco.
I don't either.
I may be dropping the plants when I was a little bitty boy.
Well,
I thought that was sort of fun. And you didn't have to bend over, but when you had to set it,
Yeah, oh, yes.
not only did your back kill you, but your hand blistered with
That's
that
right,
peg.
too.
We didn't know what setters were.
Our setters were our fathers coming along behind us.
Oh, I remember my dad was helping Rob Jackson set tobacco, and I was dropping plants. And Irvin Jackson was one of his boys, and he was about 5 years older than I. He was a pretty good-sized boy, and he was always last. And when Dad and Uncle Rob would get through, they'd have to help Irvin out on his row. So one morning, Uncle Rob said, "Irvin, and you know, I'd give you a quarter if you could keep up with us for 2 rounds." Well, boy, I mean, Irvin just jumped in there and he led the way. He was about 2 or 3 steps ahead of
Everybody.
all the way around. And so Irvin led all the way around, and then when he got through, Uncle Rob took out the quarter, and of course this was 1930. Now that seemed like a fortune to
Oh, I reckon so.
And Uncle Rob said, "Now, Irvin, I know you can do it, so from now on, you come on and you keep up with us." Well, Irvin was the sickest boy that you
Yes,
have ever seen in your life. If he hears that, he'll shoot me at sunrise. Or maybe he'll have a good laugh about
We've maybe all pulled a few tricks like that once in a while.
it. All right, now let's see. How long did you stay on the farm? Did you get married?
Yes,
pretty
I got
soon?
married when I was 15 years old. 15 in July and married in 29th of December of 20, 4th day of December of 29. Married Edgar English, and we lived together about 4 years. I had one daughter and then went home. Divorced, and
Okay.
married again in 37. October 37, married Otis Higgins, whom I lived with till he died in 75.
And did you and Mr. Higgins have any
No,
children?
we didn't have any
Didn't
children.
have any children.
Just had the one daughter.
So you have the one daughter
One
now.
daughter.
Where is she now?
She is just across the street from me, 305 West 7th.
Well, that's not very far
No,
away.
not very far. She,
Oh, that's great. Does she have any children?
no, she don't have. She has a stepdaughter and 4 step-grandchildren, but which we wouldn't know any difference if they didn't belong to us. I mean, if they did, we love them very much.
So you, in effect, have grandchildren.
Great-grand, have
Anyway, yeah.
one grandchild and 4 step-grandchildren.
All right, now, so many people in this part of the world back in those days would have to, or I don't know whether they had to or not, but anyway, they'd go to Detroit or they'd go somewhere. Did you ever leave the area?
No, never. Well, not until after, let's see, back during the war. We went to Evansville. My husband was, either he was rejected from service because of kidney failure, and so we went to Evansville, and he went to work in the shipyard. Worked there, and then after that he had learned, welding, and he followed construction work after that, and from that we've been here and there and all over, in Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Alabama, just all around.
You just
I
became
have
a
been
globetrotter almost.
been all around.
Well, what part of the country did you like to live in the most?
Oh, well, I enjoyed all of it as far as that goes, because wherever you make a living, it's home. And you can either be miserable or enjoy it, so I always choose to enjoy where I was at. But I always enjoyed coming home. We kept our home, and we'd come home ever so often anyway and stay here. My daughter always stayed here because she was working in Paducah shoe factory, and so we would always come back home to be here then.
Home was Marshall County.
Marshall County. Always been Marshall County. That's right.
Oh, that's great. Well, let's see. Let's get back to life as you remember it around this area in the early days. One of the things we try to do is to pick out some features of the town or some part of life like that you enjoyed, like coming to big singing.
Well, that's what I started to say. We always look forward to big singing, to Tater Day. And when Tater Day was over, then we looked forward to strawberries getting ripe, where we could pick strawberries and buy some new clothes for big singing and come and have some money to spend to buy ice cream and a Coca-Cola. So we enjoyed that.
Strawberries would ripen between the 1st of May and the last of May.
Well, somewhere in there along 15th to 20th, while we'd get to picking strawberries and have enough money made, we could buy us a new pair of shoes and a new dress for big singing day.
Did you get a new hat sometime?
No, I never cared for hats. I didn't really care for them. I just always rather have me a new dress and some slippers and then have a little money to spend instead of having a hat.
Some people bet on an Easter bonnet.
Easter bonnet, yeah. Well, I just never really cared for hats.
All right. Well, do you recall any amusing incidents that happened to you? Did you ever get a new dress and then fall in a mud puddle on the way home?
No, not really. I'd always maybe step in one and ruin my shoes, get them messed up. But it never was very bad to fall until later years.
Yeah.
Then I fell and broke a leg one time, so that done me up about the fall, and I'm real careful about that.
All right. Now, after you had come back to this area, you mentioned that your daughter worked at the shoe factory in Paducah. Did you work in any of the plants around here?
In earlier years when, before I was ever married, I worked at the hosier mill over here about, maybe a week. And, of course, I couldn't even make enough to pay my way over here. And so Daddy said, well, if I'm going to have to pay for you to work, why, you just want to stay at home and help me. So I just stayed home and helped him.
Do you remember anything about how much you made?
No, I don't remember how much I made, but anyway, he said, well, I can't even, if I've got to pay for you staying over there, you can just stay home and help me. I don't even remember. That's been a long time ago. Right?
I think my mother-in-law said something about working at the hosiery mill.
Yeah, there's a lot of, most everybody around here that's, originally from here has worked at the hosier mill one time or another.
Later, did they turn that into a cigar factory?
Yeah. No, I didn't work over there either, because at that time my daughter was working, my husband was working, and they said, well, if you stay home and do what this do here and us keep us working, well, that's enough. So I just always stayed home and kept them ready to go.
Did you make a garden?
Oh yes, made a garden and canned a lot of fruit and some vegetables and made jelly and jam and what have you. Yeah. And then we got the freezers.
Do you enjoy canning?
Oh yes. Making jelly, it's my.
I used to like to help my mother, and of course my sister died before I was born, so I always had to be her girl as well as helping the field, and I got a big kick out of that. I got to read more, which I really wanted to do was reading, but the only thing that I didn't like about it, and I know it must have hurt those women then, though my mother, I don't remember her complaining particularly, and that is you start canning all that stuff and in hot weather, and it was a wood stove. Did you have a wood stove?
Yeah. When we was home with Mother and them, well, I had a wood stove for, I don't know, way up somewhere 50s or something like that before I got electric stove.
How in the world did we stand?
I don't know. I just don't know, because I can't hardly stick my head out now. It's hot weather. It's
well, we'd have those blazing days in July and
right.
August, and then you build a big roaring fire and cook whatever you were canning. It felt real good in the wintertime.
That's right. Told somebody the other day, I said, I was getting my air conditioner fixed on my car, and I said, I don't know how I used to make it. I said, I always helped. I was the oldest of the 9 children, 3 girls before there's any boys, so I always had to help my daddy in the field. And I said, used to go out there, and I grew up in a pair of overalls and a blue shirt, go out there and work till about 11 o'clock, and then we'd come to the house and rest till 1 and go back. I said, well, we'd come in, and them overalls was wringing wet with sweat. And didn't think too much about it. It wasn't half as hard as it is now. I don't think.
Well, it's evident that we can become accustomed to things, and then suddenly we feel we just can't
do it no
live
more.
without it. I'm in the same condition. Of course, we never had air conditioner, and I always, after they came out on cars, I said, well, I wouldn't have one on a car.
No,
Finally, I believe it was a 62 Mercury that I got that had an air conditioner on it. It was a station wagon. Well, I was never able to put Janie in another non-air conditioned car after that. She said, gotta have it.
Well, my daddy was, with the 9 children is all he could do to feed us through the summer months, Well, the winter months come along, he didn't have anything to do to supplement the flour and the sugar and the meal and stuff like that. We had our vegetables and canned stuff and what have you, but you have to have other necessities too. So he would cut a load of stove wood, a cord of stove wood or what have you, and bring it to Benton and sell it. I guess he's furnished everybody in Benton stove wood. He'd sell it somewhere from $2, $2.50 a rick. And then we would take that money and buy flour and sugar and meal and stuff like that with it, coffee, to do till the next week, and then he'd cut another load and bring it to town, get all those things again.
Well, if we had depended on what Dad made on raising tobacco, we'd starved.
Yeah, that's right.
We always had 2 or 3 cows, and it seems to me that you took off cream about Wednesday and Saturday.
I think so.
They'd test that cream and pay you 39 cents for a bucket of it, and that'd buy though flour and sugar and. So sometimes we made our own flour. We'd grow wheat and take it to the mill, and I think we always made our own meal.
Well, now Daddy, he'd a lot of times take off what he called a
turn
of corn.
Turn of corn.
Get its meal ground up for you. Bring it over here to Uncle Jimmy Johnson's mill and get it ground up. He'd bring a load of wood to get the flour and the stuff, and bring his corn and get it ground up for meal.
Yeah. Did you ever make any soap?
No, I never really myself, but I've helped to make it. Now, this great-grandmother that I was talking about, I was only about 12 years old when she died, and she was what they called midwife, something, you know.
Yeah.
And she, in between times, you know, that there was going to be a new baby somewhere, while she would come and spend some time with us, and she'd show me how, and she'd get it all together, and then I'd just stand there and stir it for her, you know, and she'd make soap. Yeah. Mother never did make any, just herself. She said she never could remember how to do it. It wouldn't turn out right.
Yeah, the old timers. I can remember hearing my great-grandmother talk about making their own lye out of wood ashes. Now, my mother didn't do that. She just bought cans of lye at the grocery store. Mary wore lye. I remember the name on that can.
Well, now, my grandmother, Mathis, great-grandmother Mathis, would use these wood ashes, and it's the lye some way in it, you know, and Daddy would shell corn, and she'd put it in a big kettle and make hominy. Use these ashes for the lye to make this hominy. Cut that. Cut off of the corn.
Take the skins off of the corn.
Make some of the prettiest white hominy, and I'd think, Lord, and them ashes in there. But you didn't know that once it was in there. But I'd always think about that, you know. And I told her one day she's putting it in there, and I said, "You putting ashes in that stuff, and then we're going to eat it?" And she said, "You won't know it's been in there." Of course, you didn't know it, but that was the thoughts I had about it, because I thought they was dirty.
We're talking about ashes. That reminds me that I've seen my grandmother and my mother would do this sometimes. We had a fireplace, and they would cover up sweet potatoes in ashes, where it wouldn't burn them, of course, and lay some coals on that.
Yeah, we didn't have aluminum foil in to wrap them in. We just put them in the ashes.
So that'd be some of the best potatoes.
I know it.
Break those open and fill it full of, we used to say, cow butter.
Mother had a big old kettle, or maybe it was a skillet or something, I don't know, that had legs under it, you know, and she'd pull coals out under that, set it on there, and then put her potatoes in that and put a lid down on it and put coals on top of that to bake potatoes in.
That sounds good. It was kind of a Dutch oven.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and they were good. Oh, and they'd cook them old, Daddy'd sent a lot of, what he called, stock peas.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they'd cut the vines we'd pick a lot of them, and then or one side of them maybe, then he'd cut the other and use it for hay. And we would go out there and pick us some big sacks full of them and shell them out, you know, and have them to cook in the wintertime and put a big old piece of meat in them. And they was really good, and caught a pot of red pepper.
Yeah.
So we had a good meal out of them.
You're going to make me hungry.
Well, I can think about it till today, and it's still good.
I imagine I've eaten 10 bushels.
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't doubt it a bit. I know I have.
They were good. And I was thinking not too long ago about how we got tired of ham and shoulder.
Yeah.
Dad fixed them both the same way, and of course cured them up, and they were just very, very good. But now when you eat that, let's say about 100 days straight,
that's right,
then you get to thinking maybe a squirrel or a rabbit would be pretty
better,
nice.
Yes.
And in early spring, we'd gone so long without greens. You know, you didn't buy just heads of lettuce all the time.
No.
We didn't have a refrigerator. We didn't have electricity on the farm where we lived till 1947. And until you got electricity, you lived pretty rough.
That's right. Well, of course, we had when we moved to Benton. Then we've got our first electricity when we moved into Benton in 43. I've been living here at this address since 43. Moved here September 43.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, sometime, I don't remember when, my daddy had a light stroke out on the farm where they lived. So us kids decided that what we was going to do was all just put in so much money apiece, have their house wired for Christmas for them. That was their Christmas present.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Mother telling me after that, she said, Lord, I found things I didn't even know I had. Said I'd forgot about them. Stuck them away and could never find them.
Yeah. Well, you no doubt then remember number 2 oil burners.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Now, they were acclaimed. I remember reading a history book about how great the invention of the kerosene lamp was, and how much better the people could see. And the magazines started increasing in importance because it was a way better than the whale oil lamp, and the candle had been better than that. And now here came the kerosene light. But now you look at those things.
I know it.
And it's hard for me to think that I was graduated from Murray State College in the class of 43, and we didn't get electricity till 47. So, and I stayed at home, hitchhiked back and forth from Hardin, and took my lunch in a brown paper bag.
Yeah.
Well, I did all the studying I ever did by that little kerosene light. Now, about the year I finished college, I believe it's the next year, I decided I'd get Mother a present for Christmas, and I bought her an Aladdin lamp.
Yeah, Lord, yes, that was something. Then, sure enough,
I'd
that
never
was
seen
like.
so much light in my life.
I know. We had one. Went from the lamp to that eventually, and then I don't know, something happened to it, and they went back just to their oil lamp again. We decided it's time they had electricity. So that year.
You know, ironing was a job for women then, wasn't it?
I know it. And I got stuck with the ironing because Mother always had so much else to do that she'd give me the ironing, and I had ironing to do.
Mother had a 7-pound and an 8-pound iron, and you had to heat those on a stove. That's another thing made the kitchen hot.
Yes, yes. I'd take mine and get out on the back porch in the summertime with it, though, but I had to heat the iron in the house. Yeah. I'd iron while Mother cooked dinner.
Well, you know, time has been flitting away as we've been sitting here talking, and we only have about a minute or so left.
Okay.
Do you think of anything special you'd like to put on that you want to be sure and include before we have to quit?
Well, no, not really. I've had a good life, had a hard life, but a good life. And only thing is, I just, I wish my mother and daddy could have lived longer to enjoy it longer. When it looked like when it come down to where they could have really took it easy, then they had to be took away. But I still know that is God's will, and I just think about that sometimes, But I'm really proud that I've had as good a life as I had, because so many people hadn't had that
Right now,
much.
you've got a comfortable home, and you're right across the street from
my
your daughter.
From my daughter. That's marvelous.
Oh,
Fantastic.
That's good, and we certainly thank you.
Be 72 years old in July, and I'm still able to get up and out and till my garden. If I wanted to make one, mow my own lawn, do anything in the world that I want to do.
Isn't that
And
remarkable?
that is, I just thank God every day for
Let me
it.
ask you what day of the month it is.
17th.
Well, mine's the 3rd.
17th of July. I'll be 72 years old.
I'm the 4th by one day.
well, anyway, you got here to be here that 4th.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, you just appreciate it.
This is Ray Mofield. We've been visiting today on our oral history broadcast with Vera Higgins, who lives, now let me see, where did I? 304 West 7th. Okay, I had it jotted down here somewhere. Now we return you to our studio in Benton.